Today is April 28, 2019, and you are listening to episode 3 of Man-Child and the Old Guy. He's the man-child, a bearded 20-something, and I'm the old guy, a cynical Gen Xer. This is your intergenerational podcast where he discusses pop culture, faith, politics, and whatever he finds interesting, and I just complain. Broadcasting from the basement because that is where Mom lets us.
Hi there, I'm the man-child. I'm that somewhat old guy that kind of sits next to my dad and can't tell if I'm quite his son or a business partner because I seem too old to be living at home with him, but I am, so get over it. Okay.
So, how are you doing today?
You know what? I'm okay. I just started my first day at my new job yesterday. It was pretty cool. The break room at BBY is pretty, Best Buy. I'm working at Best Buy. Yeah. As long as I don't disclose certain things. They told me in orientation yesterday I shouldn't be fired for being on a podcast. But anyways, they have the coolest break room I've ever seen. So you walk into this room, and there's 2 vending machines, one for Coke products and one for, and that's the drink, not the drug. Then a food vending machine, a whole kitchen with all this kitchen equipment, right? Then there's like 4 round tables with chairs. There's a little bar kind of thing that's got all these plug-ins where you can plug any kind of device you can think of under the sun on it. You can sit next to it. And then they have this big black leather couch and like this 60-inch TV in there with a subscription just for the employees.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, it's better than anywhere else I've ever been that's had a break room. You know, I remember working at a trucking place, and our break room was what used to be like a bathroom. So they just like ripped out all the stalls, and it's just a bunch of rotten chairs are donated to this place.
Over little septic holes?
Yeah, pretty much. It's the ceiling's falling through. That was my break room.
So that makes you really feel like that company really valued their employees, and Best Buy doesn't, right?
No, Best Buy definitely values the employees. Just so far, after one day of being at Best Buy, I feel like a valued employee. Even though I've done literally nothing at this job so far except sit on my butt for like 5 hours during an orientation meeting by myself. And then this week, I can work from home.
How terrible for you.
I know, it's disgustingly bad. But you know what's going to help? I got finals this week anyways, so...
You can switch in between your training videos and taking final tests.
Yep, hopefully I don't fail stats. Man, I don't know. I am at 59.72, so I'm failing. But
so you have to get to 60 to get the D-?
It's just a D, yeah.
Oh.
It's so confusing. Some classes will show you as a D-, other classes just show you as a D.
Well, you remember the family saying, yeah. D's get degrees.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've got 2 exams, both 100 points, and I'm just really hoping I can pull it off. Just enough points to pass the class. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm fine with my econ class. I'm fine with my psych class. Anything else I got to take, I'm totally fine with. I'm not stressing about that whatsoever. But this stats class I am, because I have to go through 11 different chapters.
Well, statistically, you can miss 40% of the questions. No pun intended.
But you're funny. Yeah. Looking.
But
yeah, I just have to get past the majority of this test. 50%, and I think that'll give me enough points to get a D. Hypothetically,
Well, you want to get a D so you don't have to take the class again, because you're going to have to take the class eventually.
Yeah.
Whether you pass this one, then you have to take it again, right?
No, if I pass this one, I don't have to take it again.
Well, I said that wrong. If you fail this class, you have to take it again.
Yeah, or my girlfriend was trying to tell me, oh, well, you can go take calculus. No, if I just spent 16 weeks going over stats, I'm not going to switch over to calculus.
Yeah, to put you in a calculus class, you might as well be designing rockets for NASA.
Yeah, I mean, I took pre-calc. I passed that. I managed walking out of high school with a 3.2 GPA.
That's simply advanced algebra. It's not really
right,
calculus.
But it says calculus in the name, so I get some credit for that, right?
Sure. Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome. But, yeah, I just need this. I need this win for me, man.
So... Is this your Zoomer rant for the day, or
no? You know what? My Zoomer rant goes just into. We were talking about this earlier about what's his bucket who's marrying someone we know that could or may not be, somewhat related to us. It's about the generational thing, how people seem to believe a certain idea but can't back it up. And I don't even care if they don't understand why they believe it, but they can somehow back it up with, even if it's just falsehoods. They're just looking at some broken URL on Wikipedia, and that's their defense. That's still better than the majority of people out there that every time I talk to and have a conversation with, their defense is just, well, because it's racist or because it's wrong. They can't bring up a valid argument against anything. And I'm not trying to argue with people all the time. I just want to have a discussion. I remember when I was living in Canada at Booth University, the issue I was having was people didn't want to talk to me when I was at lunch or we were at special social functions or whatever, because they always thought I was trying to debate them or bring up stupid topics. But all I was doing, I was trying to find conversations we could all sit around and just converse about. Mm-hmm. A random topic. But no one wants to do it because it's like no one ever thinks critically about anything in life except if their shoes are clean or not. And I don't understand that, because obviously that's not how I was raised. But I don't know if that just has to do with who I am as a human being, how I was born, or that's just what this generation is.
Well, the way people view history changes over time. So certainly with the millennials, they were taught from baby boomer teachers that infiltrated the public school systems and the colleges, and they leaned towards the left. So they got and received education with that kind of filter. But my big complaint about the educational system is that it's not teaching how to think critically about things, and not simply because somebody in authority says A or B does not make it correct. Now, they'll do that about anybody that politically is opposed to them, or that they feel
slighted
against, or that's maybe they've triggered them in the past, whatever. Those people they automatically question. But their own people on their own side of the aisle, they don't look at things objectively. They simply take it at face value without going back and doing any kind of research and things like that. And that's what really bugs me, because their critical thinking skills are lacking, one, and they are not universal. So they choose to use their critical thinking and to question things only when it suits to further the echo chamber that they already exist in. So that's very difficult for me. Which, case in point, when I talk to certain people and try to express a certain opinion, they immediately jump towards a very defensive posture. And once they're there, there's no coming back from that. But there have been times, like the person that I think you're talking about, where we've had very good conversations, and they've asked my opinion, and I've told them that, and they accepted it. Because I'm the old guy, and I've been there, and I lived through it, and I have a certain perspective because... but I think part of that, too, is the learning curve. This is all about relationships. In a modern day, we look at somebody and label them instantaneously, especially on the progressive or the left side of the aisle, where they do this intersectional politics. You are the subgenres that who you are,
It's black and white. You are a topic. You are this. You are that. Yeah. You can't cross.
I'm male. I'm white. I am middle-aged. I am, oppressed. I'm this or that. And so the more of these little values that you can obtain or be labeled by, the more intersectionality that you are.
Like the more points you get on some game.
Right. And so if you hit a certain level, then you don't, then you're automatically deemed unworthy to listen to.
Well, yeah, it's just like that dumb thing where it's a joke a lot of people come up with is you have the disabled, gay, unisex, binary, Muslim, transgendered, handy-capable.
Sounds like you're
blind
talking
left
about
eye.
an octopus.
Well, basically, they roll in some crutches with a wheelchair with a nail through their head, a bunch of weird stitches for aesthetically weird. I don't know.
Tattooed on?
No, they decided to put a bunch of stitches in their head. They walk in.
Oh, wow, he looks like he's really disabled. We really need to listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
Did you just assume his gender? Oh my god! And people just start fighting with each other. And it's just so dumb because that one person somehow has the ability of dictating because they somehow know more about life than you because they've decided to make their life suck.
Since Leonardo DiCaprio has been in some big budget movies, all of a sudden he's an expert on things. I mean, that's the kind of thinking that goes along with that. That's just dumb.
Well, it's like Emma Watson from Harry Potter and crap. They put her in the UN to make a speech. What does she know? Does she even have a college degree?
Yeah, she does have a college degree, but
is it one of those college degrees where you paid $1.4 million and poof, the magic dragon, you have a degree and you literally didn't do anything?
no, I think she went.
I mean, they made a Harry Potter movie for like 7 years straight. There wasn't like a gap year in those, I don't think. So, where do you find the time to go to college?
There's lots of child actors. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, whatever.
I'm looking it up right now.
All right, you go ahead. But anyways, there's people like her, and I just question, what life experience do you really have? Because the experience you have means absolutely diddly squat compared to mine. You know, the life experiences...
Emma Watson graduated from Brown University with a bachelor's degree in English literature.
Oh, wow. Gee, man. The lecture president, English lit? Oh, gosh. She must know so much about intersectionality and femininity and how to run the freaking country. Let's elect that Brit, the person in charge of America. Let's elect her king.
She can't be president because she's not a U.S. citizen.
Oh, no. She has a degree from Brown University in English lit. She knows what she's talking about. That's why she's a really rich 1%er, freaking actor that can speak at UN. She knows what she's talking about.
Now, I will say, I thought she was English, but actually she was...
Scottish?
No, born in France, Paris. Interesting.
That must be why they had her do the Emma Watson thing. I mean, this sounds dumb.
That's herself, Emma Watson.
That must be why they had her play Belle in... What movie is that? With
Beauty and the
Beast.
The live-action Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, because there wasn't a lot of French people in it. So maybe that was one of the reasons she got chosen. She was technically born in France.
She has two middle names, Charlotte and Durer. D-U-E-R-R-E. I don't know how to pronounce that in France.
Emma Watson, the Charlotte de... Isn't that what French people say? De... Emma de Watson.
Well, everybody just knows her as Hermione. So
Hermione, yeah. Well, Hermione was actually black in the books.
I've never read the book. So.
Yeah, I haven't really read them that much either. But
sure?
I saw a video where it had the.
So you saw a YouTube
I saw a
video?
Oh yeah, okay. I saw a video with the author talking about Emma Watson's black, and there's some other thing. Another person's black. Someone else is actually gay, and they didn't do that in the movies. Well, whoops. I guess. Who cares?
Well, you can't do everything on screen that you can do in a book.
Well, I don't know. You can do a lot on screen. But what I will say about books and movies is there seems like there's a lot of characters and stories that when they try and make that leap into being a book, or like a book to a movie, I don't know why, but they seem to leave out all the aspects that people reading the book really like in favor of aspects for the director, which I don't understand. If you're a director and you're trying to make a movie that's going to sell a lot, there's going to be a lot of tickets, or there's going to be a good amount of people coming to see this movie, why don't you
Doesn't every director think that that's going to happen?
Well, I mean, there's certain properties that, like when Star Wars, what was the episode 7?
Force Awakens?
Yeah, Force Awakens. Force Awakens.
If
it
you
didn't matter.
Did better in statistics, you'd know these numbers.
Know the numbers. It's what freaking Star Wars movie it is. That has nothing to do with stats. That has to do with being a nerd, all right? You were around when it first came out. Was
you
I even
feel-
around when the episode 1 came out?
Yes,
What was that? 03?
somewhere in there.
Anyways,
Maybe 04. I don't know.
Anyways, like I was saying was that like with Star Wars Episode 7, when that came out, you really didn't have to do anything. People were going to come see that movie nonetheless because of the property of that movie. But there's so many people that when they get some cool property, like from a game or a book, they have all this great source material that they really don't have to do. You barely have to direct it. The story's already written. Just use the story. People want to see it as a movie.
That was 99 when it was released.
No, so I would have been a baby.
You're 2.
I
1.
was born in 98, Dad.
You were 98?
I was 98.
Oh.
Brown was 90.
Must be my
five.
kid from the other family.
Anyways, yeah, I don't understand where that is with the directors. Like if I had the opportunity to direct like the Assassin's Creed movie,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was a cool movie, if it was a standalone movie, but if you're looking at the video games, that movie sucked. It was it was horrible. I thought it was good acting. I thought it was a cool story. It looked great. But when you look at the storyline compared to the video games and all the the preconceived notions of Assassin's Creed, the movie doesn't fit anywhere in there, and it actually makes certain elements worse than what the video games did.
So, and looping back to what you began with, which was not being happy with the way modern day millennials are handling history.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the same thing what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it could be. It's just this whole idea of here's some original. I think I talked about it last week too, where like my culture revolves around stuff that you grew up with because people ran out of original ideas. It's easier just to use the things that you grew up with and kind of
Well, they
alter
are
them a
much
little bit.
cooler.
Well, because no one wants to sit around and create something original. It's not like all original ideas are gone. They're still there.
You saying Flappy Bird's not original?
No, it's not.
What is it a ripoff of?
I don't know. I wasn't around in the 80s. I didn't get to go to the arcades. I'm sure there was some dumb, crude little game, but just...
I guess it is kind of like Joust or something, but...
Sure. See, I don't even know what that is. That game is probably older than me.
Which game?
Joust. I don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah. Joust is way older than you.
Okay, yeah, see, there's my point. So I wouldn't know that exists, but that's why I'm saying Flappy Bird.
I'm pretty sure you played it in one of my Midway Classics GameCube things. But
I don't know. We never were able to beat that game.
Yeah.
Because there's so many locked parts of that game that we can't get over with.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I was saying, that my issue today is that everyone seems to take like this original content, like in the movies and everything else. Everyone seems to take the original content and instead of just running with it and continuing it and developing upon it, they take what they like out of that and then they make it into something else, which is a total ripoff. But then when you try to ask them, hey, where'd you get this idea? What is this idea about? Who, what, when, where, why about this topic? They can't answer anything about it. But if you take the same thing and you make the original, like if they were taking, I don't know, the story of Spider-Man, and they completely ripped it off, just changing little things here and there, and you ask them, where'd you get this idea? Well, I don't know, it just came to me.
So,
okay, cool. Who's this character? But then if you go back to the original
so basically you're talking about China, what China does all the time.
China. No, well, sure, I guess. I don't know. Copyright
China.
infringement. It's just an issue with the culture right now. Yeah. And I hate saying that with the culture, with millennials or the Zoomers, because I'm sure when you were a kid, you weren't referring to everybody as a boomer or a Gen X, or were you? Is it similar today as it was when you were my age?
Not, well, it's similar, but not as intense. And the generations there were longer term, so, you know, baby boomers was, 30 years? Where millennials is like 10 years. So it's a big difference.
I don't know. The latest thing I looked at was from 77 to 97.
For millennials?
Yeah, they just keep moving it.
No,
So I am
part
at
of that
the...
would be Gen Xers.
Don't know. It's getting more and more confusing. Anyway, my rant isn't much of a rant. It's just this thing.
Yeah,
I'm so
Gen Xers is 1960s to the early 80s.
Yeah. So, but then how is it that I don't know? It's confusing. It's stupid that somehow they just keep expanding the millennials, and you can't really find an official thing on either. I found the ones that I like, and I'm just gonna go with it because it makes it so I'm not a millennial. I'm a Zoomer. I'm a little bit different.
You're definitely different.
Thank you, sir. But the rant is just this: is I don't understand how people get these ideas and run with them, and then when you try and ask them anything about it, they don't know how to answer. They don't know the basic concepts of the idea that they're spreading to other people. Like if you ask them, what is socialism? Like what is the most basic thing about communism or anything? It's about sharing with people and being nice with everyone, and that's about equal outcome. Well, I mean,
because they don't care. And as long as they get their free Wi-Fi and their phone and their Facebook and their Instagram, then they're happy as clams.
Well, it's because
they
they've
don't
never
care.
had to care about something in their life, like ever.
Yeah, well, someday they're going to get what they wish for. They're all going to vote for, Bernie Sanders or whoever. They're going to be bring in a lot of progressive government regulations on them that's going to crack down in such a way that they'll understand what true socialism leaning towards communism is.
Yeah, and it's akin to what I tell the girls at our church. They're like just preteens and they keep talking about relationships and boyfriends. I'm telling them, like, look, a guy's telling you he loves you. He does not love you when you're 13, barely 14 these days. Maybe way back when. The possibility. Now, no, because he's never had to sacrifice love.
Way back when people were married when they were 13.
Yeah, and you had to love the other person. So, but what they're so confused now is
what does that mean? You had to love them. You can't force someone to love somebody.
No, yeah, I think you can.
You grow into love through a committed relationship. That certainly happened because most people were wed of necessity, not necessarily because they went a courting.
Right. Okay. I got you. We'll jump into that, but don't let me lose my spot. We keep doing that. It's going stupid bunny trails. I'm talking about with these girls that a lot of the kids these days, they'll tell them, "Oh, I love you. You're great," or whatever. That it's just a bunch of bull crap because they don't understand love. They don't understand commitment. They don't understand having to pay a bill or anything like that. And it's the same thing I tell them is like, look, if you go work at a summer camp, your summer between 8th grade and 9th grade, from middle school to high school, and you come back and during that summer you didn't talk to any of your friends, when you come back, they're not your friends anymore. Completely different people. And that's because you're all changing. You're in your adolescence. You don't understand all this stuff going on with your life. So don't make some definite decision now because you're not going to agree with it in like a year. But the main thing I'm trying to get to them about relationships or whatever is that you guys don't have anything to really worry about. If you, probably more than any other generation, have things so covered and taken care of.
You don't understand, man-child. There's so many stresses upon kids today that have never been upon any other generation.
Oh my god, I forgot to chat. I forgot to check my Snapchat. Oh my gosh. Someone messaged me on Instagram, but my Wi-Fi connection just isn't good enough. Oh my gosh, I can't get to it. Is it that kind of stress? Because that's if it is, they got some other issues going on with themselves that they need to.
When I was 12, I was getting paid $1 an hour to haul wheelbarrows of concrete.
That was because your dad, right?
He made the agreement for the $1 per hour, but I was doing it to earn money because I wanted cash for the summer.
Yeah.
But you can't do that today because it's unlawful. Child labor laws are different now.
I remember working for the church librarian for $2 a day.
Yeah.
And just organize stuff.
You kind of work.
I tried my best. I was like, 6?
Something like that.
At least I started early. I was an entrepreneur. All right. I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm still working on my company and my car concept. Mm-hmm. All right. It's going to get there some point. I just need to finish. What is with that? What is with that? What are you always like? You're a Debbie Downer about this idea. My whole idea for this car, you're such a Debbie Downer on it.
No, I just think you're reinventing the wheel.
How is it? Okay, look, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just changing the concept of hybrid technology in cars.
Isn't that what you're talking about? Taking Spider-Man and tweaking it a little bit?
No, because it's not a copyrighted concept or something. It's just...
pretty sure Tesla and everybody else has patents.
But that's the beauty of it. Toyota's patents are open until 2030. Specific patents for Tesla are open indefinitely.
What do you mean they're open?
Means anyone can use them without having to pay fees or anything like that. So Toyota is a little more confusing until
I'm
2030.
pretty sure if you come
No,
out with a
dude.
car that looks just like Tesla,
It has nothing to do with looking like Tesla.
Elon,
It has
you're
nothing to do.
overdriving your microphone.
That was
Chill
you.
out.
You chill out. It has nothing to do with looking like a Tesla. It's just the idea. You get the concept of how this is supposed to work, and then you do it the way you think would be better. I'm not stealing concepts or anything like that. The entire car itself is not a concept anyone else has done yet. It's just morphing.
The hybrid?
The hybrid way I'm doing is having a engine that charges a battery pack, and the motors with the CVT connected to them run off the battery pack. So you have the instant torque, and you have the range.
Yeah, this is called a Prius.
No, the Prius does not work that way. The Prius, right, is charged either through a trickle charge through the wall and things like that, and you drive on the gasoline motor, on the gasoline engine. You do 0 to 5 miles an hour on the electric motor. This is, you only drive electric, but the gasoline motor only kicks in. No, yes, it is not incorrect. That is how the Toyota Prius currently operates.
No,
is
you
that
can watch the little display in the Prius while you're driving down the highway, that there's energy going back to the batteries and all of that. It's charging
It's just assist. That's all it is.
That's still running on electric power.
No, it's not running as if the wheels are only turning for that. It's assist. So like the new Toyota Prius coming out, the all-wheel drive E is all-wheel drive, quote unquote. So from 0 to 10 miles an hour, the rear wheels are powered by the electric motors, and then from 40 to 60, they're powered by electric motors. That's it. Outside of that, it's just front-wheel drive. A Toyota Prius currently right now, the rear wheels and things like that, they have the regenerative braking, but that's the only thing you're getting from that. The electric motor only powers the front wheels. Pardon me. Only powers the front wheels stop and go from like 0 to 5 miles an hour, so that because that right there is the biggest chunk of gas and power and stress put on the engine is from 0 to a somewhat idling, a good cruising speed.
It's not about stress on the engine.
It's about fuel efficiency, but it has a lot to do with...
That's when the engine uses the most gas, is to get the car moving, and batteries go, or electric motors go from 0 to their full torque instantaneously. Gasoline motors need to get revved up to that point.
Right.
So it's not about stress on the engine. It's about
stop focusing on the one dumb thing.
No,
yeah, you are. I'm talking about this whole topic, and you keep focusing on, well, it's not about the stress, and you're going into that. But we're not talking about the stress. I'm talking about the concept of the Prius.
Wrong terms.
Oh, whatever. I'm using some wrong term here and there. The reality is that just this. The car I have is not the same as any other car that is on the market or is currently being developed that I know of. Right? So Toyota, if you look at the owner's manual, they view the electric motor as the heart of the car, even though it really does not do that much. And then when you look at Honda, they view the engine as the heart of the car. So Honda uses the electric motor they have as a turbocharger in a sense. So it assists the motor because it's just a weaker motor that's a lot more fuel efficient. It uses the electric motor to help the engine get up to certain speeds. That's all it does. It doesn't actually like kick in. You're going, this 0 to 6.
So explain to me again how you.
So the engine will just be running at the perfect RPM for whichever kind of small engine it is. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at 3 cylinders, but I'm not sure. Anyways, that works at the perfect RPM, so it achieves the best efficiency. And all it does, and it just charges the battery pack under the car at a certain level. So it kicks on and just starts charging it. And then the car just runs on the battery pack and electric motors. So you have the instant torque and you have the instant power of electric motors. But you don't have the range anxiety or anything like that because you have that's going to constantly charge the battery. So
why have the batteries at all? Why not just...
Because you get this amazing power from the electric motors that you don't get from the engine unless it's just consuming so much gas.
You're missing what I'm saying. Why have the batteries at all? Why not have the gasoline motor directly drive the electric motor?
Because you don't want that thing running all the time. The idea is that it charges the batteries, and
But
you
if
just
it's
run on the
running-
batteries. And
If
then
it's running at a high or the most efficient RPM, what does it matter? Because the starting and stopping of a gasoline motor is when it uses the most fuel.
Right, but this is just, that's all it does.
And you realize what you're describing is how trains function and things like that.
Right, because this is an idea that you gave me 4 years ago, and you said this was the future of hybrid technology in cars, and then now you're saying it's a bunch of bull crap, and I am the one running the ball down the field. I am going for the touchdown, all right? I am pushing this. I'm going to put this out there. I am trying so hard.
I'm not saying it's bullcrap.
You are. You're being a Debbie Downer about the entire idea.
All I'm
of
saying
this
is I
car.
want you to recognize that there are other car companies already doing this. So for you to say that what you're developing is proprietary technology.
I'm not saying it's proprietary. I'm just saying no one else right now is putting it on the market because everyone else is focusing too much on squeezing this out of that and squeezing this out of that instead of a hybrid where it works together. You know, Honda's view is to squeeze everything out of the engine. Toyota's view is to squeeze everything out of the electric motor.
Visionary thought process and that you're writing it down and all of that. I appreciate it. I think it's wonderful. I think you're very smart. And,
you could go 1,000 miles.
And you're shiny and all of those things.
Thanks. But think about it. You could go 1,000 miles on here. That's it.
I can go 1,000 miles in my gasoline car.
No, you can't. That thing only goes 400 miles before you have to fill up again. What I'm saying is you never have to worry about range anxiety about plugging it in. I mean, all you do is you just go to a gas station.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful concept.
And then as you're driving, you hook it on and it just charges the battery.
My only issue, again, is that you think that nobody else is working on this, and I disagree.
I didn't say no one's... I'm saying that there is nothing out there proving that other car companies are actually developing this. There is nothing out there that says that. That's why I want to get this out there as quick as I can. But everyone just poo-poos me about the whole idea.
I'm not poo-pooing you. We're only correcting what you're saying.
And you're just saying everything I'm saying is wrong. That is essentially what you're going on.
The only
about.
thing I'm saying that wrong is that you somehow, brainiac who can't pass stats class, have come up with some kind of technology that...
It's not technology. Right? I'm not coming up with, like, the Pym particle from Avengers Endgame. Spoilers. I'm not doing that. I'm just taking what already exists and reconfiguring it into a fashion where I think it will be more efficient than it has been. Right? So, like, think about, like, a little SUV. Like an actual little SUV, not the crap we have now. And it's called the Roosevelt, right? Which legally you can do because Roosevelt was a public figure. So as the moment he came in as president, his name became copyright free. You cannot, so I can use his name whatever
Don't
I
name
want.
a car after Carter.
The Carter. Anyway, so it'll be, the Roosevelt. And it's got this electric battery. And the whole idea behind this car is just to go out to have adventures, do this kind of stuff. It's just like a terrain vehicle. And I'm trying to figure out how you can connect a CVT, a continual variable transmission, to the electric motors. The two different electric motors going to the rear wheels. I don't know how to quite configure the CVT to do that. I'm a little...
Well, run down to AutoZone and buy a few.
CVTs?
I don't know. I don't need to order.
Well, I've thought about...
Can you get them on Amazon?
I can buy them straight from Honda or Nissan and things like that. Anyway, I can buy all these parts, but I mean it will cost a lot of money in the end. The biggest problem I have is the batteries. That is the most expensive part out of everything I've looked at. Just to test this out, 18650 lithium-ion batteries, usually made by Panasonic. That is the most expensive part, and and this is one of those things where I'd want your help or whoever to try and connect everything just to see if it works. Even if the idea...
If you get all the parts together, I'll help you connect them if they will connect.
Okay, and let's say I start this engine, it charges the battery pack, and then you press what would be the accelerator with just a button, and the wheels just, poof, they just start going. The battery gets low, and we flip a switch, and the engine starts charging the battery again. You can go over and over and over. That concept works.
Sure.
Will you think it's stupid then?
No.
Would you go into business with me?
I've never thought it's a stupid idea.
You sure make it sound like it is.
Yeah, you're being a atypical Zoomer and assuming because I'm not assuming,
man. This is just what you're saying. This is just what you're saying. You're saying stuff that makes it all sound negative, dude.
No,
it doesn't. You're not. Be chill, man. Be chill.
I am only saying I don't think that the concept you're coming up with right now is exclusive to man-child. That's it.
I'm not saying it is.
But when I say that, you jump.
I'm not saying that because I never said that it's exclusive to me. This proprietary technology.
You said you were going to patent it.
No, I never said I'm going to patent it.
Maybe not in this
I said that
conversation.
I'm looking at patents from Toyota and Tesla that are open for the public.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
You're a nice guy, and you're shiny and clean.
I think you're pretty, Dad.
Okay.
Will you go to prom with me?
No. Are you done ranting now?
Yeah. Let's move on.
Because you went on about 5 different topics.
Yeah, we did too. You kind of jumped in too. So don't make this look like last week's where you're like, you went on for 30 minutes doing a Zoomer rant, and I can't believe you took up a good chunk of the show. And Dad, I mean, come on. You didn't give me any kind of stipulations for the show. And now you're going to be like, you went on 5 different... You did 5 different stories. I'm just your rant. It makes no sense. But you're the one that jumped in half the time and just kept it going. So this is like your fault. Yes, I know, son. Here's $50. Thanks, Dad.
I'm supposed to complain. That's my niche.
I know you're supposed to complain, but
that's my niche in the show.
You can complain and still agree.
Okay.
I agree. Avengers was a good movie.
Which one?
What's that new one we just saw? Endgame.
Endgame.
I agree that was a good movie, but there's a lot to complain about that seriously ticks me off.
Well, we're not going there because I don't want people killing us because we're doing spoilers.
All right.
Okay, let's go on to Don't Be That Guy.
Don't be that guy. All right, cool.
So here's the Don't Be That Guy this week. This is down in Queensland, Australia. And this guy walks in with one of those reusable blue Walmart bags, basically, into a gas station kind of place, you know. And he's using the blue bag over his head to conceal his identity. Pulls out a knife and threatens the lady behind the counter, wants to, rob the place and all of that kind of stuff. And then she puts a bunch of money out on the counter. And so to get the money out of the store, he pulls the bag off of his head and puts the money in the bag right in front of the closed circuit cameras and then walks out of the store. Okay, of course they arrest him right away because he's a moron. So word to the wise out there, if you're going to rob a store and wear a disguise...
Not that we're condoning robbery or that you should go into robbery, because our lawyers just text me saying we should probably say that before we get sued for saying you should rob a bank.
Not saying rob a store, but if you do, don't be this guy. And all he got was a couple packs of cigarettes and a few bundles of money. But of course he's going to spend some time.
Oh, he's going to spend probably the rest of his life.
No, not the rest of his life.
Oh,
he didn't kill anybody.
No.
And it's Australia. They let people out on the street for
But did he have a gun, though?
No, a knife.
Oh, he had a knife. Yeah. Yeah, he'll be fine.
But it's Australia, so it's probably a really big knife.
Oh. That ain't no knife. It is. This is a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that kind of thing. If you're going to rob somewhere, just, put your whole heart into it. Become like a supervillain. Buy a whole outfit. If you're going to rob a bank, just get a couple credit cards, ching, 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 max them out because you're going to pay it off for the millions you're going to rob, right, out of the safe, because banks still have millions of dollars just sitting around. Not that there's some limit about physical cash they have. But anyways.
Actually, there is a limit about...
that. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just walk in like a supervillain, have the coolest guns, have come up with something cool to rob a bank. At least go down in history. How'd you get in the joint?
I got a laser beam and I shot it through the window and blew off a guy's head, which then was able to use a mirror to get the codes to unlock the safe, which I only found $10,000, which wasn't been enough to pay off my credit card my debt. So I just chose to go to jail. That'd be a cooler story then. Yeah, man, I walked up into the bank, and then I took the money from him because I put a gun up to the chick's head. I walked down the parking lot, man, and I was like, dude, I got all this money, dog. So then I put my mask off in my pocket and walked back in and tried to put it in my bank account, but they're like, bro, you just tried to rob us. And I'm like, no, bro, I didn't. And they're like, yeah, bro, you did. Put a little red button, and then bam, a taser gets me in the back of the butt cheek. And I'm here.
Nice voice.
Thanks.
Well, okay, the next story I want to get you to comment on is the world's most fertile woman who lives in Uganda. Miriam, Nabatanzi.
Bashwana.
Nabatzai?
Bachuzida.
Yeah, something like that.
Navanzai.
She has a rare medical condition and has had 25 children by the time she was 23.
So, what?
And now she has, by the time she's 36, she has 44 kids. 44 kids.
So, what is the, like, when
She's
she
had
gets
three,
pregnant, she gets, like...
3 sets of quadruplets,
Ooh.
4 sets of triplets, and 6 sets of twins.
I wonder if they're just fraternal twins or if they look alike.
I don't know.
Because, you know how confusing
There's so
that's
many
gonna be?
kids in the pictures online, you can't...
That's going to be so confusing with all those kids.
Yeah.
What do you name them? Kid 1, Kid 2, Kid 2,
1,
Kid 3,
2, A,
3,
B, C.
4. You know, you're just going to... I wouldn't want... I mean, like,
She
I know
got married at 12.
Because she fell in love, Dad. Because
she was...
prepubescent tweens know exactly what love is.
Stop. She was married at 12 to a 40-year-old.
Yeah, so he can make
her
good
husband-
financial decisions with her.
Her husband walked out on her 3 years ago. So she's like an entire village.
Boy, she's a queen, isn't she? See, my fear is, and I'm just going to say it, if I had like 45 kids,
Well,
that they'd all become teens and there'd be some weird incest ring that would happen between them.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's not even...
I'm just saying, you're going to have that many kids. It's going to be really weird and creepy when they're getting teenagers and they're the only ones around and you can't monitor all of them. Someone's going to do something stupid, you know it.
She has unusually large ovaries, so she's producing a lot of eggs. That's her medical condition. So it's just like...
So she just have like horrendous menstrual cycles then?
The story doesn't talk about that. The doctor did say if she uses some form of pills for birth control, that could cause a lot of harm to her because of her large ovaries, so she doesn't take birth control. And
She just keeps popping them out.
Yeah, there's just a lot of kids. So
How old do you think she, like, menopause is when you can't have kids anymore, right?
yeah, menopause is when the female system stops producing eggs. Every woman is born with a certain amount of eggs, and when the last egg comes out of her ovary through the fallopian tube, then that starts the process of menopause.
You think she's gonna have a menopause?
Well, eventually, I mean, like I said, every human female has a finite amount of eggs, so eventually she'll run out of eggs.
I don't know if that's gonna be worse for her than anyone else.
I don't know. But the story does say that she goes through 25 kilograms of corn flour a day to feed all of her kids. And that's basically what they do. Every once in a while they get meat, like fish or chicken or
It's
something.
55 pounds a day.
Yeah, that's a lot. So,
You said fish?
no, of corn flour.
Corn flour.
It's a special treat for them if they get to have like fish or chicken or some kind of meat, because there's just so many of them to feed. It's hard for her to.
Well, you can use that to make like fried fish.
Yeah, I
Corn
guess.
flour.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just a powder essentially you put around the cornmeal.
Yeah. Well, when we're talking about flour, we can talk about this Army vet who lost 44 pounds by only drinking beer during the Lenten season. So he read a story about some monks who, different times in their lives or different, times of self-sacrifice and such, drank a specialized kind of beer, and he decided to get a craft beer, and for 46 days he only drank this beer. Now he spread it out throughout the day so he never got drunk, so he drank a little bit here and there, but over that time he lost 44 pounds.
But he managed to still have a gut.
No, he's actually in the pictures, he's pretty skinny. He calls himself a beer guy, and he said, "You always hear the story about monks in Bavaria, like in the 1600s, that they gave up all solid food for Lent and only drank this special kind of beer they called Doppelbock. It's got a lot of nutrients in it, a lot of carbohydrates, and a lot of sugar. And I always wondered, is that real? Can you really do that or not? So I decided to give it a whirl this year and try it out myself," he says. And he says, after 46 days of not eating food, I feel like I'm well educated now. I'm ready to go to battle against obesity.
Maybe I should try the beer diet.
Maybe not, but you are 21, so those are your life choices you're doing. But he says his health is much better now. His blood pressure, his cholesterol, everything's improved on what he was eating before in the standard American diet, which means he was probably going to McDonald's 2 or 3 times a day.
Sounds
so
like it.
He's now a big proponent of craft beer, the craft beer diet. But this does sound, doesn't say how old he is, but does sound kind of a millennial kind of thing.
He looks about mid-30s. He's got that kind of graying in the hair that's not at that 40-year-old kind of graying. It's that you're in your mid-30s, you haven't done anything with your life yet.
Yeah.
Not to, bash this guy. He's an Army veteran. I'm not bashing the dude. I'm just saying there's like a certain look people have that really haven't stressed or done much with anything in their lives by the time they're in their mid-30s versus when you're in your mid-40s, you start getting gray.
He's an Army vet.
Yeah, it's the Army, though.
Don't mock the Army.
No, I'm not marking him. I'm just saying, there's a possibility he didn't do anything.
Wow.
Hey, come on. I know a guy whose dad served in the Navy during the Cold War. They just sat on a submarine drinking Coronas all day, watching Cuba. That's all they did.
That's not bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're doing their job, but they're drunk.
Well,
They really didn't do much. They still got a medal, though.
Yeah, well, I had friends that were on ships outside Grenada in the 80s, and they didn't do anything. They got medals for the invasion of Grenada.
What? So, they just sat in their ship the whole time and here's a medal for trying. Oh, thanks, Dad.
It wasn't for trying. It was for being part of the Armada, I guess. Something like that.
Thanks for showing up. Here's your participation award.
So, Google recently received FAA approval for their drone delivery business. So, this kind of concerns me because I'm not a big proponent of drones and for commercial purposes, i.e. like we're going to have a whole bunch flying around and drones dropping presents off at people, or I shouldn't say presents, but boxes off at people's houses and such. And so this kind of offshoot of Google has become the first drone operator to receive government approval as an airline.
Wait, it's considered an airline?
Yeah, it gives it legal authority to begin dropping products off to actual customers. And it's called Wing Aviation LLC. And they have the same certifications that smaller airlines receive from the Federal Aviation Administration and the Department of Transportation. And it plans to begin route deliveries of small customer items in rural communities in Virginia within months, and then expanding out from there. So this really concerns me because they're making some assumptions about humanity that I think that they shouldn't. Number one, they're assuming that everybody's going to treat these drones nice and politely.
Dude, if that thing flies in my backyard, I didn't order nothing, you didn't order nothing, it's got a camera looking at me, I'm going to shoot it or throw something at it.
Well, and, you know, punk kids who would just throw rocks at buildings to break windows, that's what, when one of those is flying by, guess what? They're going to pull out their Nerf guns and whatever else and shoot the thing. And I really think this is trusting humanity a little too much. And
yeah. Well, I remember seeing some video of like these hicks that they found an Amazon drone. I think it was an Amazon drone, just some dude's drone. It was flying over some big chunk of land, and then they looked up and they saw it, and you can see them running into their trailer, and the drone's just like casually just floating on by, and you see them get out, and they both got shotguns. They're just shooting in the air, and they see this one guy get like as close as he can under it and just go bang, and then lights out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it doesn't take much to disable a drone. You knock out one of the propellers, it can't balance itself anymore. It's down.
I mean, really, all you need is two rocks and a string between them, and you swing that good enough, let it go, it'll wrap around that drone, it'll knock it off kilter, everything will go whoop.
Yeah, well, and so you think about all of the reports of people stealing packages off of people's porches. Mm-hmm. What do you think the same criminals are going to do when they see a drone buzzing down the street going to deliver a package at your house? They're going to shoot it before it even gets over your property line and take the package.
You know what? It's going to be just like the bird scooters, those Uber scooters, or whatever else they're called. I was in Kansas City for my anniversary with my girlfriend. They were all over the bird with the old bird scooters were all over the place. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as bad as like the No Agenda podcast where they're just littering the streets. They're all over. You just you don't notice them, right? It's creepy. So you don't notice that they're just sitting on the sidewalk, or just you don't even think about stepping over it. It just doesn't even connect in your head until you see a dude pass you by on a scooter and you're thinking, didn't I see that? And you look behind you and there's just rows of these scooters all on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. You just don't recognize it until it's too late. That's freaky. That's freaky to me. And it's going to be the same thing with these drones where they're just going to, you're going to see a drone and you're like, oh, that's cool. It's a drone. And you're just going to see drones drop something off, flap, and you're like not going to realize it. You're not going to think about it until it's too late to where people are shooting drones and it just crashes on your car. And you're like, what the heck, where that came from? And then you realize people are getting drones delivering pizza and stuff like that. But it's going to be the same way because drones are relatively cheap to make. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're probably cheaper to make than the scooters. It's just more plastic than metal, so I think it's going to be like all they have to do is deliver one package or two or something.
That technology, because it doesn't have to interface with humans that much, is on a large scale production models actually quite cheap.
Yeah,
so it costs some pennies to make all these drones and stuff. The expenses in the coding and the encrypted software and such to get them to fly and all of that. That's where the big expense is anymore. Just like your iPhone, the iPhone today doesn't look any different from an iPhone, 5 years ago. It's
Incorrect.
Well, in general, it's a screen with a big button on it.
There's no button on the new iPhone.
Okay, I'm not an Apple fan, so got it.
Even your Samsung today doesn't look anything like my Galaxy S3 I had 5 years ago.
Anyway, it's basically a screen with minimal buttons. And whether the buttons are programmed in the screen or they're physical, doesn't matter. Once smartphones came about, they are very similar. They're not changing that much. And most of the changes happen in the coding, in the programs that's running them, and that's where the big expense is for them. I mean, there's certainly expense in producing a smartphone, blah, blah, blah. But most of the changes actually happen in the code that is written for them, and that's where the big expense is, because people are writing the code and people are expensive.
I'm about 50-50 with you on that. I think a lot of it. Okay. But anyways, what I'm saying with the
stats again.
Yeah, 1-to-1 ratio. But what I'm saying with the drone thing, I think it's just going to be like the bird scooters, where they only have to run for I think it's 2 days and have to do 30 rides or something. It's either run for 2 days or do 30 rides. and they break even.
I think
And
it's
then
more
it's-
like 45 days, but
No, I thought it was something crazy. That's why I was blowing people's minds, was that they barely have to be out there.
well, 45 days is only a month and a half. It only every one of these scooters has about a 6-week break-even point, which is nothing in business.
Yeah. So then after that, the break even, and then anything else they do is a profit,
Yes.
which is really easy when you have that many of them out there. There's people riding down the streets a little bit, and for whatever reason. But I think it's gonna be something similar with those drones, where if a drone, it's gonna be like Amazon, deliver in the next 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? You want it now? We'll deliver it to you. It's an extra $1 though. All that drone has to do is work for 30 days without getting shot down, and then after that, it's just profit for
Sure.
Amazon.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna work the exact same way. Then you're gonna start seeing bird drones.
Well.
That's gonna be cool. You see that bird? That plane is a bird.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be delivering stuff from like Whole Foods or something to you.
Maybe. But, unless you don't, this will probably be rolled out in larger metropolitan areas, and then, it'll be something less than that later. So,
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't like drones. The police forces have drones now. Of course, the military's had them. And outside of certain situations, I just don't think they're any good.
I am fine if you want to have a drone, just like follow me around or whatever. But as long as I get to walk around with a gun,
I'm not okay with a drone following me around.
if it's just a little walk around with a gun and just boom,
Yeah.
what it
Well,
just
you
gonna be a
you
toy.
wait. There's going to be all kinds of crazy laws about interacting with drones coming up. So,
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting for the AI stuff, because it's just skip logic stuff now. So eventually it's going to become like, they're going to make some cognitive process for a computer where I'm sure they're going to have to put some kind of biological material in there to make it work, and it's going to be really controversial, but we're still going to accept it because we won't know the true history behind it. That's going to come out. It's going to be like an AI, and then I'm just going to be like, okay, well, I thought Google Assistant was bad. Now
Well-
there's a computer stealing my memories.
well, there's this Oxford professor who claims aliens have already started breeding with humans on Earth.
Indigo children.
He doesn't call them indigo children, but it's Dr. Young Hae Chai, an instructor in Korean at Oxford's Oriental Institute, part of the prestigious university, thinks this new species will save Earth from annihilation from climate change. He believes there's a strong correlation between climate change and alien abductions. And this is an Oxford professor. He's identified 4 types of aliens: small, tall, bold, and scaly, with snake eyes and insect-like
That is no
bodies.
ways to talk about Koreans, okay? They are very respectful people. I have never seen a North Korean in my life, but there's no reason to assume that about them, all right? You know what they say when you assume? Makes an ass out of you and me, and that's inappropriate.
Yes, it is inappropriate.
Yeah,
This is a PG podcast.
it is. That's why I
So-
call people a donkey.
Right. Okay.
Mom
So
says it.
we're not going there. Mom is practically perfect in every way. This professor said, so they've not come for the sake of us, but for the sake of them, their survival. But their survival is actually our survival as well, the survival of the entire biosphere. So somewhere, I'm not quite following him.
I believe with the indigo children, there's the idea that there's people living in the center of the earth.
He's kind of saying a little bit that they're kind of interdimensional kind of thing. Not quite getting there, but the article's in the Sun in the UK, and that's not always, that's a little bit of a conspiracy theory kind of thing. So, yeah, you never know. But when we think about that, then you also have the Daily Mail over in Britain, who a bunch of NASA astronomers believe they finally located the Apollo 10 lunar module that was left in orbit around the moon 50 years ago. And so, this is before Apollo 11, which landed on the moon in '69. And so this was the test shot right before that. So they flew up the same gear, did everything but land on the moon. And so they ejected the lunar module out there just to test the systems, and it's just floating around. I guess it was named Snoopy. I didn't remember that until I read the article. But it's been floating around the moon, and nobody's seen it, basically. And so they think that they found it. And so now they're trying to figure out if they can go retrieve it and bring it back to Earth.
I wonder how they're going to do that in one piece without it like just collapsing, entering the atmosphere. 'Cause I'd imagine that it just being exposed for, what almost 60 years in outer space, that it's probably the exterior is just falling apart, or even the interior, if there's just a little bit of moisture, is just
they
rust.
haven't actually seen it. They're just tracking it with like radar, and
okay.
because the way they released it, the astronauts who released it said it kind of went towards the sun, at least from their perspective, and they kind of lost it and all that. So they don't even know what trajectory it went on. So it's probably in some really elliptical orbit, kind of around the moon. And so that's why it's been so difficult. Because it could be, when it's way out away from the moon, it's going relatively slowly. And then, of course, it goes faster when it slingshots past the moon. So it'd be kind of interesting if they could find it. Maybe there was an alien living on it. You never know. But it is kind of interesting that people have been looking for it. Of course, there's a whole segment of our population of the world that don't believe we landed on the moon. And
I got my days.
This would be confirmation that we were at least at the moon, maybe not landed on it.
I just want to see people land on the moon doing like a live stream. So I don't know. I just want to see it, get it over. Because I'm so sick of seeing people talk about we never landed.
We
on
received a live stream a couple weeks ago when the
Israeli Jews crashed into it and blew up. Yeah.
That was all live stream. It crashed right into the plane.
It really didn't mean much.
No.
I just want to see the American flag. All right, I want to see a new freaking looking, a new cool. I don't know what the word describes. Just a new astronaut uniform that looks cool. I want a guy named Buzz, and he's an astronaut, to jump out and be like, "This is totally tubular," and he goes over, and there's the American flag. It might be whitewashed because that sounds bad, but it might be washed white because of the radiation. But that'd be kind of cool to see the American flag, put all the haters to rest.
That's right.
Because by the end of this decade, we will have gone to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it is hard to do. What was that one thing where he was like,
ask not
what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Yeah. I am John F. Kennedy.
No, you're not.
I am John F. Kennedy.
I knew John F. Kennedy, and you're no Kennedy.
I am Bobby Kennedy.
Sure. So my last little tidbit to discuss today is this interesting little phenomenon that's happened back in Gretna, Nebraska. Now, Gretna is a small community, kind of bedroom community to Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And there was a man who was having some heart palpitations. His heart rate was 200 beats a minute. And so they called an ambulance and stuck him in the ambulance. He's 59 years old. And they're running. It's about a 20-minute drive from where he was to the hospital they wanted to get him to. And, of course, we were out in your mom and I were out in Omaha not too long ago, and the potholes are terrible there.
They're huge.
My
little Honda Fit could fit in some of them.
Yeah, pretty much. And so this ambulance hit one of the potholes, and they hit it so hard, it shocked this guy's heart into normal rhythm.
That's probably the only time ever in history that a pothole has actually saved someone's life.
Actually, no. This has been a well-documented case. There's a well-documented case from the 70s where a patient was jolted into a normal heart rhythm by going over a speed bump. Like the ambulance was flying through a parking lot, and they hit a speed bump, and that jolt shocked the patient's heart back into rhythm. So this is not...
So you could really give someone just a good enough jump scare? I mean, is it like them bouncing up and down that does it, or just they scared them because they didn't know there was a pothole?
probably a little of both, the jarring and the like, oh, what's going on kind
So
of.
just shake someone in the shoulders really hard and say boo, and you could save their life. Or if they're not already having a heart attack, you'll give them one. So you have to be very sure when you make that critical decision.
It's probably akin to when somebody has the hiccups and you try to scare them out of the hiccups, which,
I just hold my breath. Because that's about all I can do when I have the hiccups. It's like nothing else does anything.
Yeah, so I wonder if this is akin to that. I don't think scaring people out of the hiccups, I mean, it works maybe like 20% of the time. But, maybe it is like if you're running your best bud to the hospital because his heart's all out of whack.
Hey, John, what? Boo. Oh, I'm better.
Well, no, I'm saying take the worst road possible.
Get all the speed bumps and he dies in the back seat and you messed up your alignment on your car.
Yeah, find all the potholes that will jack up your control rods and your steering and your CV joints, and you'll probably save your buddy's life on the way to the hospital.
You take your buddy's car.
Oh, that's even
so
better.
Then he's just freaking out. You're messing up the alignment, man. And you're like, that's the point. My heart.
Yeah. So that's a distinct possibility. You never know. Well, you got anything else for us today, man-child?
You know what? I don't think I really have too much else for everyone out there. Just want to remind everybody that Donut Day is coming up.
Donut Day?
Donut Day. Yeah. Go get yourself a donut. And look into the history for that.
Yeah. There's a deep history to it. Well, that is about it for us today. We thank you, everybody, for listening. We're getting ready to have an email set up and a donation page to help us with the expense of hosting the website. So I appreciate all of you listening. I'm the old guy.
And I'm the man-child. Again, if you want to catch me on my own podcast, it's Happy Cabbage Podcast. You can look it up wherever. Check us out there.
Yeah, and remember, don't fall up a down elevator.
And if I don't make it back, just remember, you made me come here.